Good morning, Jay STURDIVANT.
Yes. Yep, we're here.
Good morning.
Guten Tag, that's the German.
Buenos dias, Espanol.
What you got, bonjour? Is that right?
Hi, y'all.
Hello.
What's up, my people? We about to do this.
Yes, share it now. It's not too early. You can share it and have
Share
people
it.
come on.
Let them come on when we come on. Yes, 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 yes.
I got a rocking chair.
Rock steady. Tribute to Aretha Franklin.
It's time now for the teachings of Pastor J.E. STURDIVANT
That's me.
of Faith United Ministries.
That's me. That's
And
Jay
now,
STURDIVANT.
as we look into the Word of God with eyes of faith, now, here's Pastor J.E. STURDIVANT.
Well, God bless you. God bless you. God bless every one of you.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I am rejoicing and I am extremely glad in it.
Yeah.
I do not own the rights to that song, but that is my brother,
Yes,
Pastor
it
Donnie
is.
McClurkin, and I am trusting in you, Lord. And we
Amen.
are back to basics,
Back.
Eyes of Faith Radio
Get back.
broadcast. I am Pastor J.E. STURDIVANT, Brother J.E. STURDIVANT. Some say the DR, Dr.
the doctor, yeah.
J.E. STURDIVANT. Others just say I'm J.E. STURDIVANT. Some say I'm J.E. Some call me STURDIVANT. But please call me whatever you want, but don't call me late to pick up a check or late for dinner.
Hey,
I'm glad to be here, and we are excited to be on the air once again.
It's Wednesday.
And, isn't it Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
It's double dose.
Double dose. We got two scoops for y'all.
You know, over in Nigeria, say everything is double double. It's double double. Everything is double double. Yeah. So it's double dose Wednesday,
Yeah.
and we are here.
We here.
Let me tell you who I got in here with me. On the left of me, you know, I've got her right here. All of you all, you can see her on WBGR and YouTube. I'm about to say it in just a second, shout you all out. But here she is. She is Steph the Best. She got her prop sitting right here.
Yes.
She'll be wanting to have it right there so everybody will know. StephTheBest.net.org.com, the DOT, box of dots, .edu. She is here. She's in the building. Greet the people. Say something to WBGR on YouTube. Wait a minute, the vibrato? Wait a minute, you hit that joint. You hit that.
And I didn't go too high this time.
No,
I
you
stayed,
did it.
like,
You were right in your
there.
range.
You're learning.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey everybody, I'm super excited to be here. Like we said, this is the Double Dose Wednesday, and I'm ready for the first scoop.
First scoop. First scoop.
First scoop. And you know, sometimes we take for granted the first scoop because we think the second scoop is automatically gonna be there.
What?
But sometimes it's not. Like, you never know. So you make sure you tune in for the
You
first
gotta
scoop.
get it.
You gotta get it because it all
Shit.
ties in together. And when the scoops start to mesh and get going together, it makes it even better. So you gotta do it.
Now,
You
you
make
know,
me
I'm
hungry
gonna tell
for
you
some
something
ice
about
cream.
that.
Yeah,
You make me hungry
now
for
when you
some
get
ice
that, when you
cream.
get that 2 scoop of ice cream,
Yeah.
everybody be, you know, sleeping on that bottom one because they think, oh, you know, it's gonna be there, Steph said. But you know what I found? When I was young, I found that the bottom is sometimes melts
Yeah.
and drips out through. So if you miss, you just waiting on that, you better get what you can get while you can, because something might just drip, 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 and be gone. On the right of me, she is
everybody.
here. She is the one that is the artist formerly known as Janice. No longer using her good government name. She was born with that name, raised with that name. She said, but now that I've gotten older, God done gave me a new name. And it's no longer Janice. It's Josiane. Like Cher, like Whitney, like Mariah, like Aretha. I only need one name.
Just one.
Come on, man. She's here, Josiane.
Hey, y'all. Good morning. They playing Charlie too much. Gloria Montgomery said amen.
Gloria Montgomery
right.
said
Hey, y'all. Hey, WBGR family. We
Yes.
are here. We are excited, as we stated, and the crazy part about it is that although it may be cloudy outside,
Come on.
we brought the sunshine
Throughout the lifeline.
throughout the lifeline.
In my life.
We brought the sunshine.
We're so sorry we did that to you all, Clark sisters.
Sorry.
And,
That's just how we feel.
Kiara, don't come for us.
Yes,
We'll do
yes.
better. We'll do better. We're
Right.
not trying to insult your mom or your aunties.
No.
Not at all.
We just feel good. We are feeling good. And a lot of times people, they have a certain mood or attitude because of the weather.
The weather controls how they
Hey,
feel.
but I promise you, I don't care how it is outside. I don't care what hurricane they're calling for. I'm going to still have joy. And we are here bringing you all joy and excitement. So we do ask for you all, please share this and invite people,
Yes.
to come and watch this because we're going to give you some joy. We're going to give you some life lessons. We're going to give you something that's going to help you all and it's going to encourage you in your relationships.
Absolutely. And that's all we're trying to do.
Yep.
We're trying to bring some spark,
Yep.
some fire,
Yeah.
while we're bringing some insight. I've just watched so many people, and I mean, they are controlled by so many things, whether it be something as significant as the weather.
The weather.
They're controlled by somebody cutting in front of them in their car. They're controlled by bad service in the restaurant. And all of a sudden their mood gets funky for the rest, of the day. But you have got to have the ability to, in everything, give thanks.
Yep.
In our ministry, we learned just the other week, and we've been practicing it, that for 30 days, we have got to say, thank you, Lord, at least 2 times a day. Minimum. Minimum 2 times a day. Just thank you, Lord. And sometimes, you could, as soon as a person just goes ahead and cuts you off on the road, you have to just say, Lord, thank you. This is one of those times I'm going to say thank you right now. When you get your glass, as I did the other day, you get your glass with your water in there and everything, and all of a sudden, water is clear, ice is clear, but there's something brown in your ice. That ain't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
But just say, Lord, I thank you.
Thank you, Lord.
And why y'all's faces look like that? And it's not supposed to be something frozen in your ice
Right,
cube.
yeah.
You just tell the Lord thank you.
Yeah.
Tell him thank you.
Thank you because you could have drunk it.
I could have drank it and crunched the ice
Yeah.
and had a double crunch.
Yeah.
And that would have not been good. That's not a good thing.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. That's why you gotta say your grace before.
You've got to say your
Yeah.
grace. After I said my grace, and I was lifting my head up and I looked and I saw.
Had you not bowed
Had I
your
not
head.
been bowing my head,
Yeah.
had I been just on my phone doing something,
Not paying attention.
I would have got a double crunch when I bit that ice, and that would have not been good. No, I'm not going to tell you what restaurant that was. No, I'm not telling you already of that.
Right.
But we're glad to
We are
be
here.
here, and we're
We're
excited.
happy.
Listen, on the other side of the board, we've got Coy the comedian.
Thank you, sir.
And we're so excited for the
Thank you.
WBGR
Consistent,
family.
yeah.
Thank you so much for you all just being so awesome. And we got to give a shout out to the owner and the proprietor, Mr.
Mr.
Lionel Green. He and his queen, his lovely wife, we thank
Yeah,
God
making
so
it
much for
happen.
them. And do you know the other night I was watching and Leo,
Oh, yeah,
the
he was
Lion,
on,
Leo Rush,
ESPN.
he was on WWE.
Yeah.
He is doing his thing.
Acting now. I was like, wait, he acted.
Yeah, he doing his thing.
I was like,
That is Lionel Green's son, and he
doing
is a
it.
pro wrestler, and we're just watching him come into his own and doing his
Love
thing.
it.
I'm grateful that he has given me the privilege to just kind of speak into his life and to pray for him, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful blessing. I'm a part of the family, and I'm glad to be doing just that. Listen, we are grateful for everybody that keeps on tuning in,
Every
but we
week.
want to have everybody keep on doing that. We see you, Wanda Briscoe. I see you
Tiana.
on there. I see you, Tiana.
Thank you.
Glad
Good
to
morning.
see you all on there. Thank you so much. Get the word out to everybody
Share
else.
it.
Share it on your page. Tell her, hey, listen, go to YouTube. He is there. He can see us when we come on. I'm calling you all out. But listen, we are running today. Today is an exciting day for us, and we've got a lot of things going on, so we don't want to take a lot of time. We want to get into this word, want to jump on some things, but I'm praying that you all have been blessed by what we have been dealing with in this area of relationships. We've gone to another level with it because we've been dealing recently with family dysfunctions and all the things that go on in that. So before I get into this lesson, let me just thank everyone who has been coming on and just supportive of this broadcast,
you.
supportive of coming on when we made the switch from Facebook to YouTube. You flowed right along with us. And we thank you so much for hanging in with us. And those of you who know that you don't see the people's names on YouTube that you used to see, why don't you all help us and just send the message out to them and
Put it out
say,
there.
where y'all at? Where y'all be? When he was on Facebook, every week he was on there like clockwork.
Right.
And now you done disappeared.
Right.
We want you all to come on. Just because we've moved doesn't mean the message has changed. We are in this thing and we're dealing with this part that's going to bless you. And we also want to kind of thank everybody who has been sowing into this ministry, giving things by way of Cash App. I've been getting so many people, Janice, that have just been coming on and sending money in and everything. Why don't you go ahead and talk to them a little bit and tell them the importance of being supportive and how they can do that?
Absolutely. So one of the greatest things that you can do, even when it comes to supporting people, a lot of times people say that they support you with their mouth, but their actions doesn't show. But one of the most important ways you can do, and this is spiritual, is by sowing a seed. And sowing a seed just is a small symbol of just saying thank you. Thank you, Pastor STURDIVANT, for your ministry, your teaching ministry, your preaching ministry, and for all that you do. One of the things that is greatly appreciated with Pastor STURDIVANT is that he is accessible outside of all the things that he does with traveling. And God has opened up so many doors for him in this season with being able to minister not only locally but also internationally. He still makes himself accessible. He has the Mosaic gathering that he does with the conference calls every Monday at 8 o'clock, and he does that for a select group of people. And then despite of if he's in town or out of town, he still have this back to basic broadcast that take place every Wednesday. If he's not here, he calls in and pays that long distance phone bill.
Let's not talk about that, because it does show up on my hotel room bill. It does.
Right, and that's just a small way. No matter what he is doing, with all that he has committed himself to, he still makes sure that he is a part of it. So if you want to stay a part of J.E. STURDIVANT Ministries and you want to connect with his ministry, or if you want to become a partner or a sponsor, there are so many people who have connected with J.E. STURDIVANT Back to Basics Ministries, and now they have their own broadcast.
Got their own broadcast.
They have their own broadcast, their businesses.
Just by sewing into us, their broadcast, as they now got a broadcast on the station. Their businesses have taken off. It's amazing.
And I'm telling you, we're going to have them come on the show one day to just give their testimony.
That would be wonderful.
Because they are living proof of when you tap into anointing, you're only going up. You're only going up. So we encourage you, WBGR family, YouTube family, if you want to be one also that wants to sow into the ministry, or you want to become a partner or a sponsor of J.E. STURDIVANT Ministries, you can sow one way, and you can do that via Cash App. And that Cash App handle is the $, capital D, lowercase r, capital J, capital E, capital S. Again, if you want to sow a seed via Cash App, that handle is the $, capital D, lowercase r, capital J, capital E, capital S. Or if you're old school and you do it by phone because you don't have nothing to do with social media and you want to call it in, or if you want Pastor to be a part of your next engagement, your next conference, workshop, and you want him to just be a part, you can contact me, Janice STURDIVANT. And I could be reached at 301-736-2383.
You was waiting to hear this.
301-736-2383.
That's the only reason why you're there.
301-736-2383.
You know the numbers in your spirit.
Call it. Call me. You can call me and you can,
Hey.
you can call. Right.
I can actually sing.
Okay. Okay. All right, she can sing. There we go. Box of Dots can sing.
There we go.
So please contact me. Thank you, Gloria Montgomery, for putting that phone number on the screen.
Thank you.
And you can ask to speak to me, Janice STURDIVANT. I can give you all the information as it relates to partnering with Pastor STURDIVANT and also sowing a seed. But before you get into this dysfunctional family teaching, you gotta tell them what's happening on Saturday, October 13th.
They ain't ready.
They ain't ready because they've
They're
been
not
asking
ready.
for it.
They keep asking. Everybody
asking
has hit
for
me
it.
and said, Pastor, you need to do something.
Yes.
This family piece is so powerful. Talking about the temperaments, talking about the dysfunction of the family. You need to do a
It's
family
in all
conference.
his books. It's in all his
It's in all of them. We are doing a Family Matters conference.
Yes,
you know,
we are.
family matters. And it doesn't just mean that families matter, but we're also talking about the matters of the family.
Yep.
The things that cause the dysfunction in the family. I'm going to be there. Jossie On is going to be there. Steph the Best is going to be there. My wife, my son, they're going to be there. I'm going to have my family members there. My mom.
She's going to be there.
She's going to be there. You're going to see
Matriarch.
who I came from.
Yep.
We want you all to come and be there for this. It is going to be awesome. We're going to be touching on topics hitting on some things that we believe are going to open up, some people say the can of worms,
Yeah.
but it's going to open up the can of worms, because if you open the can of worms, then you can use the worms as bait to get yourself out of the situations that you're in.
That's good.
We are going to talk about how to get rid of the generational curses and open up the door for generational blessings. We want you to come and be a part of what we're doing. It's going to be happening at our ministry, Faith United Ministry, 7905 Fernham Lane in District Heights, Maryland. 7905 Fernham Lane. That's Fern as in Nancy, HAM as in Mary. Fernham Lane in District Heights, Maryland. And it is going to have the teachings. It's going to have insight. It'll have the materials that you need, as well as a brunch. You are going to be able to eat, and all of that is included in the price. And I'm going to tell you how affordable this thing is. Is it $199? No, it's not. Is it $150? No. Is it $100? No, it's not. Is it $50? No. What is this? Janice, tell them what it costs for each group. Go on.
It's so simple. It's so simple for
Y'all not ready.
all of that, the teaching, the family counselors, and a full spread lunch, not just a little small, appetizers, a full spread lunch. For those that are 18 and up, it's only $20.
18 and up,
it's only $20.
Unbelievable.
That's
Unbelievable.
unheard of. For those that ages 12 to 17, it's only $15.
Wow.
And then those 11 and under is $10.
I'm telling you, listen, that is a small investment to give for being able to unearth the root of some things that have been poisoning your family for years. It's a small investment. It's not a cost. It's an investment. And it's a very, very small investment. Jump on it now, because once this thing takes off and blows up, and we're doing this on a regular basis and taking it into other cities, then the price is going to go up higher. You'll have the ability to say, I got in on the ground floor and it set my family straight. Somebody says, can I get a sample of the menu today? You can get a sample of the menu on Sunday. After our morning worship experience for just $10.
Right.
You can get a sample of that menu.
Here's the thing that I really appreciate, and I know you're about to get into teaching. So one of the things I really appreciate, WBGR and YouTube family, now you all don't know this, right? So I'm going to just go ahead and just lean in so Pastor can't see me.
I can't see or hear you.
On Sunday.
Wait a minute before you do that. Did you see Talenthia came on?
She did.
Now, Talenthia is one of the ones who
She's one
used
of
to
the
be my sponsor and sewing into me.
Every Thursday.
And now every Thursday at 5:30, she has her own broadcast. It's a Total Life Change broadcast. TNT, that is Tion and Talenthia. She and her husband are on.
Amazing.
And you need to go ahead, tune in. I'm coming in on one of their shows, and we're going to be talking. They're going to be talking about the health things from the physical. I'm going to be talking about the health things from the spiritual, but also how what she has done has helped me with all of my travel. Who would believe that I'm going to be 61 years old this year? I'm going to be 61 years old this year. And as a result of taking care of myself, getting myself healthy, and some of the things that my daughter Talenthia is doing, it has helped me to have longevity. And so you need to tune into her on every Thursday at 5:30 on the WBGR.
And she got her whole family doing it now.
Her whole family,
and I love every bit of it. Gloria Montgomery, I saw that you said to have us come to Philadelphia. So if you send the invitation for us to come to Philadelphia,
we will bring it.
We will come. We will come. Now, before I was, interrupted.
So rudely.
Yeah, I was interrupted.
So rudely interrupted.
Again, I'm gonna try to.
She didn't want to say that. She didn't want to say that.
Let me lean one more time. Let me lean one more time. Let me lean one more time. So now on Sunday, this is to go into the family dysfunction that we were just talking about. Oh, handsome as ever. Gloria Montgomery said, "You are handsome."
Thank you.
Handsome.
I'm working on a thing.
Now this Sunday, September 16th.
Sunday.
September 16th. We are going to be celebrating Pastor, this man right here.
I can't hear.
And co-pastor.
I can't hear any of this.
Their 40th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
Now, I'm saying that to say, one, to give kudos because that doesn't happen this day and time.
No.
But then two, because that shows that how, despite of whatever dysfunctions go on in your family, because they have a story as far as their journey where, her side of her family, she's the first one to get married and stay long.
That's right.
On his side of the family, he's the first one to be married and stay this long. And they have lasted for 40 years married, but what is it, 45 years?
It'll be 46 years we've been together.
been together. So you all can hear the secret also of how you can maintain a relationship as far as marriage all those years. We encourage you all to come out on Saturday, October 13th. Bring everybody, your
Bring 'em.
kids, grandparents, everybody, because it's so important with the holiday coming up in the next couple of months.
You know, right after that happens on the 13th,
Yeah.
in just a month and a week from then, we'll be sitting in Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll be sitting in Thanksgiving and you ain't even thankful for the people that
Yep.
are sitting there.
Yep.
You can't stand your family members. We want to this year go into Thanksgiving and Christmas
Yep.
and the New Year's season. We want to go in there with generational curses, family dysfunctions, broken. As a matter of fact, some of you all, because you've been in this, you can wind up helping your family members. I have been doing, and when Janice was talking about sewing, I have saved some of you from being on psychiatrist's couch.
Yeah.
My background, my degree is in psychology and religion, which is why I take some of the stuff that affects us emotionally and psychologically, put it with scripture, and unearth various things. I've saved you money because you know it takes about $175 for 15 minutes
as far as a therapist, I
for that
understand.
therapist. So I want you all to know the benefit that you have gotten by just tuning into this, and I want you to please, man, please, sirs, sow a seed into this ministry. Come out to the Family Matters on October the 13th.
Yeah.
And what is the time that that's going to be? Because we're
It's
giving
at
a-
10 o'clock. It's
10
at
o'clock.
10 o'clock. It's not too early, but we're going to get you all out around at 1:30ish, 2 o'clock latest time, so you can still have the rest of your day.
Have your day free, you know. And I know you're going to want to stay around and talk with Janice and talk with Steph and speak with me, or maybe speak with my wife for some time for some prayer. We'll be willing to do that,
there.
but we want you all to come on and be there with
Yeah.
us. You got to do it. You got to do it. Well, we have been going so long, so strong, and you know, while I'm getting ready to get started, he's just walking in right now. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Lionel Green has just walked in, and so I have to always acknowledge him when he walks in, because that's my balls up in this place. So we are very grateful for this opportunity to be on. Now, I am going to deal with you a little bit today, and Steph and Janice, we've been dealing with this family dysfunction for so long, and people are always trying to figure out, you know, that you just been saying this every week. When does it end? And I told them, we were off air, and I told them, I said, you know, we're going to be doing this until Jesus returns, because when he comes back, I want to talk to him and say, why did you have to leave your mother to John, who was not a family member, when you had brothers and sisters? Because even Jesus had some family dysfunctions.
Right.
Ah,
yeah,
boy.
so you don't want to hear that.
They don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it. Why, when you got brothers and sisters, did you have to leave the care of your mother to somebody else that was not a family member? So, won't get into that. That's going to be coming down the road a little bit. We're going to talk a little bit. And I can show you in Scripture where there was a disconnect between Jesus and his siblings.
Wow.
All I got to do is just, you know, I don't want to go into that.
Yeah.
Don't want to go into that. I'm going to make them just keep on watching, keep on
Right.
watching, keep watching.
Stay
All right,
tuned.
stay tuned, because it is coming up in the next few weeks.
And a lot of people think that it's just their family that has dysfunction.
Oh, no.
No.
It's like your family don't, you know, have the same issues that I have.
And everybody thinks that. That's what the
Yeah.
enemy likes to try to do, is make you think that you are the only one going through what you're going through, because if he can separate us,
Division.
see, once you can get separated, then you will start fighting on your own, as opposed to drawing strength from other people who may have the same dysfunctions, but is handled in different ways. See, our family has dysfunctions, but we may handle ours differently, a way that you may not have even thought of. So when we start talking about it, it helps to open up the door, and we can start learning from each other, or thinking, as opposed to thinking that each person's situation is unique. It's not unique. It comes from the same root, which is sin. And once you deal with the root and not just acknowledge the fruit, everything shifts. I want to talk to you a little bit, because I was watching this show, because I want to go a little bit deeper in this family dysfunction, because family dysfunction comes from family dissatisfaction.
Yeah.
Family dysfunction comes from some areas of family dissatisfaction, where there is something that you are not satisfied with within your family. Now, I don't have time today to get into what you are comparing your family to. which is what makes you become dissatisfied with them.
That's what comparing.
It comes from some comparison somewhere. But family dysfunction comes from family dissatisfaction. You need to just say that to yourself. My dysfunction comes from my dissatisfaction. My dysfunction comes from my dissatisfaction. My dysfunction comes from my dissatisfaction. What are you unhappy about within your own family that makes you want to establish a pseudo family, Pseudo, a pseudo family, or another family outside of your family?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this, and the Lord brought something back to my remembrance. I had a member in the ministry some years ago, but I don't want to use that one, but I'll use the one that everybody can relate to because you don't know my member.
Sure.
I was watching this show. When all the shows are on, you had Judge Mathis.
Yeah.
You had Judge Judy.
Divorce court.
Divorce Court. Help me with some of the other ones. Who are some of those other judges?
Hatchet.
Judge Hatchet.
Maury and all of them.
Yeah. I was watching this one show, and there was Judge Maybelline.
Yeah.
Oh, she
that's
used to
old
be
school.
around.
Judge
She used
Maybelline.
to be around. Is she still on?
Judge Maybelline. I was ministering in Chicago, and I met Judge Maybelline. She came to one of the services when I was ministering. I was watching Judge Maybelline, and
Wow.
Judge Maybelline had a young woman on her show that was suing her mother. The reason why she was suing her mother was she was saying that she had done so much for her mother and her mother had not paid her back. But the problem was she was trying to disassociate herself from her mother because her mother was dark brown skin, had bad English,
Okay.
and had put her light-skinned daughter through college by cleaning the floors and being a maid for other people that didn't look like us.
Oh, wow.
So now that the daughter has risen and has long hair and is light-skinned and could pass for someone close to white, she was embarrassed by her mother.
Wow.
So she wanted to disassociate herself from her mother. And when Judge Maybelline said, you want to do what? She says, that thing over there. She said, wait a minute. You can be upset with your mother, but you're not going to call her in my court that thing
Right.
over there. She said, well, look at her. She's black. Her nose is big. Her hair. How did I come from that?
Wow.
She was disassociating herself from. And Judge Maybelline said, you do realize that the reason why you work where you work and you have what you have is because she did what she did as a single parent to put you through school. She said, yes, but I don't have to always be connected with what I came from.
Wow.
And there is a family dissatisfaction that brings about some disassociation, which brings about family dysfunction. Because there are family members, you're listening to me now, some of you are going to watch this later, and you have separated yourself from your family. You have disassociated yourself from your family and have taken on other personalities, other people, other relationships, and have made them more of your family than your actual family is because you are embarrassed by what your family represents when you have already in your mind moved beyond them.
Yeah.
When you look at the story that we have been using, the case study of the prodigal son, the reason why he left his family and went into a far country was because there was some dissatisfaction, which made him go about disassociation and then connecting with people that would be like a family because he had separated himself from his family. And the dysfunction is that no matter how far you move away from who you say you don't want to be associated with, the blood of your family is still running through your veins.
Yeah.
I don't care how you look at it. I don't care if you're coming from, we ain't got the same mother, we ain't got the same father, or we got the same father but a different mother, we got the same mother but a different father, and I'm going to call them step this or step that. Listen, somewhere in there, there's the same blood. And you cannot separate yourself from who you are simply because you don't like the origin by which you came. We're going to unpack this thing now because this competitive jealousy that comes forth in the family comes because of family dissatisfaction and family disassociation. I'll never forget, my daughters are here. But when they were much, much younger, it was always, I don't love you, I don't like you, I want to be with my friends and everything, as if the friends, are going to take the place of the family. I'll never forget my son. I don't know if you remember, years ago, he wanted to have a party and didn't want any of his family to come. Just invited all of his friends.
Yeah.
But
he used the stuff from the family household.
Yeah, everything from the family to do for his party,
right.
but did not want any of the family to come.
Right.
Only wanted to invite his friends.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, none of the friends showed up.
But the family.
Only people that came were the family. And he'll tell you the story because you can sometimes think that you can make it without your family, but when the boo-boo hits the fan and you're sitting in court, when the poo-poo hits the fan and you have to all of a sudden get someplace and your friends are either too busy or give you a bunch of watered down excuses, the only ones you have are family. And so we have to start getting this thing, because one of the things that God said from the very beginning that he wanted to do was that he says he wanted all of the family to be one. His whole reason for sending his son, Jesus Christ, was to introduce God as a father. Throughout the Old Testament, you knew God is God, God as a judge, God is all of those things, but you never heard about God as a father till you got over into the New Testament and you heard Jesus say, when you pray, pray this way. Say, our Father. He introduces God as a family man and not someone who is just a judge waiting to destroy you or to damn you when you mess up. And there are some people that grew up in homes where they never even knew their parents as family members, their mother as something maternal, their father as someone that is fatherly. All they knew was, you ain't no good, you ain't nothing, you ain't gonna be nothing. They only got the judgment and never got the love. And so the dysfunction comes in because there is a dissatisfaction which brings about a disassociation from the whole concept of family, which brings about dysfunction. Because once you are now dissatisfied with a parent or a sibling, you then start disassociating or disconnecting from the parent or the sibling. And now, the love that I should be giving to my daughter, I can't give to my daughter. So now I have a whole bunch of other people that I will give love to try to replace the emptiness that I miss from having with my daughter or from my son, or I don't have the connection with my father. So now you get with other men and call them papi or call them daddy. Or you wind up getting with women and start calling them, hey, what's up, mom? What's up, mommy? Mommy. That ain't your mother. But there is a very subtle thing that is put across in the loose terms that we use that shows that there is a disconnect, a disassociation, there is a dissatisfaction with family members. I'll never forget my children when they were much, much younger, when their friends would come over, they would say, man, this is y'all's house, this is y'all's house, and they would try to say, man, I want to be over at your house, and then my kids would say, man, if you knew how it was being the children of such and such, because immaturity talks immaturely. Immaturity speaks immaturely. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought as a child. I understood as a child. Children say things out of their limited understanding. And parents, let me help you a little bit. If you are expecting your child to be on the same level as you, and you are 15, 20 years older than they are, depending on when you had them, but you're expecting them, well, they grown, they know right from wrong. I'm not talking about right from wrong. I'm talking about how you understand and how you decipher information. You are on a different level than they are simply because you have lived longer than they have. You've had experiences that they have not had. So if you are expecting your child to understand as you do, and you all go blow for blow, toe for toe, voice for voice, then that means that either they are more mature than you, or you are immature when it comes to talking with them. There has got to be something to bridge the gap in this family dysfunction, this family dissatisfaction, this family disassociation. Y'all want to say anything before I go on?
I think one of the things, even when you kind of think about the dissatisfaction or
Right.
the disconnect,
Right.
You almost have to kind of look and consider you individually, although you are a part of a family.
Come on.
And I remember even when I had went through a phase in my life when I kind of disconnected, not so much physically, but emotionally because of where I was and how I felt about myself.
Right.
When you think about the comparison piece as well, the comparison, goes based off of not only you looking at what's around you, but also hearing what people are saying about you and believing what people are saying
Yep.
without you not knowing how you are. When I had went through the phase of depression and I went through that, it was because I compared myself to other people that was around me,
Yeah.
and I believed what people said about me because I didn't have my own value. And I had spoke about it on this past Sunday, and also I had posted on my social media is to not allow what other people's opinion about you
Yeah.
to give you your value and your worth. And that's one of the small subtle ways that kind of brings about the disconnect, because you start comparing yourself to your other family members, to your sisters, to your brothers, what they have, what they don't have. I had told the story even on this past Sunday, Pastor. I don't even know if you remember, a long time ago, when it was Christmas time, and we had all asked what we wanted for Christmas, and we was living in an old house, and everybody got what they asked for, and I had asked for something that was electronic, and you all had gave me a Big Bird. And I didn't ask for that. I didn't
Jesus!
You remember that? And I was just like, wait, where in the world, where did this come from? And I was so distraught because I saw how happy my siblings were as far as them receiving what they asked for, and I didn't get what I asked for. And my parents, they listened to me for a second, and they said, well, you could have gotten nothing. And so immediately it was a thing where it's like, it did shut me down because I was not grateful, but at the same time, I complained because I didn't get what I wanted.
And it wasn't, I don't remember the situation, but you are right, because if somebody asks for an iPad,
Yeah,
and you give them a pen and a pad,
that's not the same
you
thing.
cannot be offended if they say, this is not what I asked for,
Right.
and call it ungrateful. I don't remember the situation.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
That was
But
long
I'm
time ago.
saying now,
Yeah.
all these years later, that if that was what was done, I apologize for that, because I understand the difference between someone being ungrateful
Yeah.
and someone not getting what you said
Yeah.
you were going to give
Right,
them.
right.
There's a difference. See, and I mean that thing from the apology perspective, because I know how many times there have been in my own life where
Yeah.
I have asked for things and people didn't give me what I asked for. They gave me what they wanted me to have.
Exactly.
And then wanted me to be grateful for what they felt like giving, as opposed to not even coming and saying, well, no, I can't afford to give this,
Exactly.
and this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
And we sometimes, in that whole family piece, think that our children are ungrateful. No, maybe we should have communicated better. Maybe we should have told them this is what we can afford to do. Or if we have, as we had 4 children, and we had a few other children living in the house at the time, if we ran out of money, after certain things, then don't let somebody be without and then make them think they're ungrateful because we may not have done a better job at budgeting.
Exactly.
You know, or let everybody just get what you want to give them and don't give anybody what they've asked for. There are a lot of ways that now, looking back, and it can be something, and if that was something that was said and was done, then you've brought about or you have created a dissatisfaction or, as you said, a disconnect. You know, emotionally, even though I'm still in the family, there is a disconnect. And that is something that, you know, I look back on it and I'm like, I don't remember that, but I would have been offended.
Yeah, but we were very, very
No, it doesn't
young.
matter.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right now, and I'm mature enough to apologize because of things like that. Because, you know, when you are a young person, we had you all very young, you do the best you can, especially when you didn't have mothers and fathers, you know, raising you. You had one parent raising you. You don't have the balance, and so you're trying to learn balance as you're going on. But that's something that can cause a family dysfunction, which is why we have to have the Family Matters conference. I mean to cut you off, but I wanted to apologize while it was there.
Thank you. So that's one of the things, and I'll let Steph share, but it does, you know, you never know how certain things can affect somebody emotionally. And going through, you know, when I even got older, past that stage, that was when we were kids, but even when I got older and I had went through stages of life as a teenager, I allowed what, you know, I was teased about on as far as my skin color or what people made fun of me as far as I didn't read as, you know, quickly as others. I allowed what was said about me to affect me because I didn't know my own worth. And so even when it comes to comparing, you just got to be very careful as parents and then also teachers or mentors or counselors to not allow, okay, because we're all in this together, let students or kids make fun of the other person because that in a subtle way can affect them emotionally.
It's a bullying.
Yeah.
It's bullying. It's subtle bullying, but it is bullying. You had said something, and I want to phrase it the way that it made sense to me, because the Bible said something, and I wanted to, it was right on the point of where you were. I'm in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 33 and verse 34. And Steph is getting ready to say something, but 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 33. This is when David comes out and he sees that all of the Israeli army is lined up, but they're scared of Goliath. And, you know, somebody comes in and tells Saul there's a guy out here and says he'll deal with Goliath and all of that kind of stuff. And when David gets an audience with King Saul, he says, don't anybody else be scared, King. None of y'all ain't got a trip no more. I got this. I'm going to take care of this giant. Read what it says in verse number 33 of 1 Samuel chapter 17.
And Saul said to David.
Wait a minute. Wait, read that again.
And Saul said to David.
Wait, who's talking now?
Saul.
And Saul said
to David.
Go ahead.
You are not able to
You're
go
not
against.
able. You can't do this.
You cannot go against the Philistine to fight with him.
Yep.
For you are a youth.
Yep.
And he a man of war from his youth.
Now he says you can't do this because this guy been fighting all his life.
Right.
You can't do nothing. You a youngin'. He been fighting since he was young. You can't do nothing. But what's those first few words it says in that verse 33?
You are not able to go
No, read
against.
the first few.
And Saul said to David.
And Saul said to David. Read the next part.
You are not able.
That's enough. And Saul said to David, you are not able. Now read the first part of verse number 34.
But David said to Saul.
See, I love that right there. See, you are missing that. See, Saul had an opinion about David to tell David what he could not do. The Bible says, but David said to Saul, what did he say?
Your servant used to keep his father's sheep.
See, I love this. Saul said, you don't have the history of fighting that he has. David says, but I've got an experience with God that he doesn't have.
Right.
See, I love the fact that Saul said something, but I love the other part that David talked back. And Janice said just a minute ago that sometimes we let other people's opinion of us form our identity. What you have got to do, and I've said it this way when I've been teaching at many places, it's not so important what people have said to you. What's really important is what did you say to yourself? What did you say when somebody said what they said to you? What did you say? If you took it as gospel, if you took it as, well, they must be right, and did no further research, or did not talk back to yourself. I'm trying to help them. That was my daughter, Gwen Thompson, on there. If you didn't say nothing in return, then you postured yourself to be just what they said. They told you you weren't smart and you accepted it. They told you you weren't going to make it and you accepted it. They told you weren't going to do it and you accepted it. Janice told part of the story, but while they made fun of her and talked about her complexion and this, that, and the other, the part she didn't tell you is that she went on to be a model. She went on to do photo shoots. She went on to be one that for hairdressers, they brought her in so that she could model their newest hairstyles, the newest things that were being on. She was modeling new designers' clothes. She did fashion weeks. She did catwalks. All of the stuff that people were trying to make her when she was younger, you know, because I would say, daughter, you are beautiful. But she didn't look like her siblings. And so even though they may have said things, she had made the comparison of her worth based on others. And now she went on to do all of the things that would accent what was supposed to be a deterrent in her life. You know, and it was an amazing transformation that now what was supposed to be meant for evil, she is now helping young girls who don't love themselves, who don't like themselves, who don't do this, that, and the other. I mean, Janice has heard some of my story, you know, as I grew up, and because I had a high voice, I had long fingers, I was close to my mom, I had all that stuff. I was called everything from a faggot, I was called, I was made fun of, all of those names, everything that I could have been called. I was told I wasn't a man, all of this stuff that was done, I was called all of these names, made fun of by my own siblings. I had all of this stuff said about me. And now that I'm older, all of the ones who said what they said now have to come and reverence or recognize me for who I really, really am. You can either take what has been said to you to make you bitter, or you can take it and use it as the catalyst to make you better. Come on, Steph the Best.
I was going to say something on the perspective
Come
of
on.
the dysfunction and dissociation, because my mom grew up in a really big family, and then I lived with my grandmother for a while, so I saw that side of the family, and it was really huge. We spent a lot of time together, but growing up, because of their sibling differences, you could see the separation.
Right.
And then as the cousins and, you know, the nieces and nephews got older, we did the same thing.
Come on.
And it wasn't even that we don't like each other, like, I know we want to spend time with each other, but because of how our parents were with each other as siblings, it was just almost like, well, this is how you guys are on this side of the family.
Right.
This is how we are on this side of the family, and we don't mesh well, so we don't have Thanksgiving together, we don't have Christmas together, and it's was like a 6-people family household became just me, my mom, and my aunt, and nobody else. And it's just kind of, it's sad. Like, I miss my family, and it's just part of the dysfunction.
And you know, and it's a subliminal message, because it was 6 of us. I with my siblings, it's 6 of us. My wife with her siblings, 6 of them. We've had people that have passed by now, but 6 of them. And then there are children.
Right.
There's a rack of kids. But because growing up, there was competitive jealousy amongst the siblings.
Right.
You know, and it was not intentional. Sometimes it would be something from the perspective of my mom. She is a saint. God bless her. She's 96 years old. But my mom would say, why can't you be more like your brother? Why can't you be more like your sister? And that subtle term was creating a competitive jealousy. So now you're competing to prove that I don't have to be like my brother. I don't have to be like my sister. But it brings about a competition, which brings about disassociation. Get ready, because whoever you compete with will never help to complete you. Whoever you compete with will never help to complete you. And so you never get the best from your family. Siblings don't come together. I've said when I'm talking with Janice and Steph, I said, you know, if the greatness that is in my family, amongst my siblings and amongst my children would ever come together, there could be a STURDIVANT empire. You wouldn't have to have Cookie being the cookie of the empire and you watch it. No, you could have your own empire if your own. But people don't want to get with the one that has the high hand, because everybody is so busy trying to establish their own until they want to. Everybody doesn't have to be on stage. Somebody got to open the curtain. They got to pull the string for the curtain to open. Somebody got to do the decorations. Somebody's got to do the props. Somebody's got to direct the music. Somebody's got to whatever. And if you can do that, then everybody gets to eat. But while everybody is trying to do everybody else's job, nobody is perfecting their job. And so now, as you said, Steph, there is the disassociation amongst the siblings. So now the children, not even knowing why, all of the cousins, they don't associate. Because even if you don't talk negative about your sibling, there is a spirit of competition that comes from you, so that you don't even push, let's get together with the rest of the family. Let's get together with the cousin. Or when it comes time for Thanksgiving or Christmas or whatever, everybody makes their own plans because nobody wants to be where everybody else is. When really, you're making all of your plans and you in a 1-bedroom apartment and somebody else got a 12-room house. But you'd rather make your own thing with Swanson's or Hungry Man meals, you know, because you don't want to have to try to break past all of the things that brought about the dysfunction because of dissatisfaction and disassociation. And I'm talking to somebody right now. You all are watching me on Church Talk and YouTube, and I'm sorry, WBGR, I'm on all of my shows today. On WBGR, and you may be listening on some other stations. But I'm telling you, you are dealing with this dysfunction. You are dealing with this thing and you don't know what the root of it is. I'm exposing the root of it now. The question is, are you going to be the one that goes back to say, I'm not going to let this go on another holiday. I'm going to call them on their birthday. I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Because I'm telling you, in light of eternity, you don't get a chance to go back. I've got a sister. She passed 2 years ago. I know that I've got family members that wish they had been nicer to her, that wish they would have loved her, that wish they would have come around more. And all of the stuff that they had issues with concerning her don't mean nothing now that she's gone. And you can say all the stuff you want to say, you know, we did that. No, you can't go back and repair that, and she can't hear that. You can fall all over the caskets. You can say all of the stuff in front of everybody else. Folk that do all the talking at the funeral are the ones who did no action while they were alive. Yeah. It is important that you now settle some family issues and get some stuff out of the way. I know I'm not going to get any responses now. I know I'm not going to get any.
Because one is a lot that you have to look at as far as truth. And I was feeling stuff. I think she got a little emotional, but she stopped herself. But I was feeling her because it is a thing when it's the generations before you. I remember one time, and you were very honest with us. I remember I asked why we never had a family reunion, whether it was from our mother's side or our father's side. And it's one of those things where not only that, but when you get to an older age, because I've heard older people say it, and they become so content, whether it's in their pride or their self-righteousness, they don't want to talk or communicate as to express why things are the way they are. And so they just settle and become content with this is just the way it is and this is how it's going to be. And I know like we try to push to try to make things happen, but it's not that it's too late, but it's just like for all these years that it wasn't, and now trying to build. So it does become a lot with the children. So I think even for everybody, if it's pride that's there that prevents you from communicating or come around, like break that area, because it does more damage than good.
And I'm gonna tell you, and it's a hurtful thing too, because the pain that it would cost to break past my wall, and say, Steph, I was so wrong. I need to come to you. And you'd be like, oh no, Dad, it's okay. No, it's not okay. I want to get this right with you, and I want to repair that area, so that we can at least have a good, because making the most of it is not the same as settling it and moving past it. It would be harder now, you think, but if something were to happen to you, to then live for the next 50 years, wishing that I had gotten that right with her. And she now doesn't have the ability to hear me say I'm sorry or whatever. You need to get stuff settled while you have a chance. Thank you. My daughter Gwen said she just had to do that with her own father. You've got to get it together. And folk are getting older, and they're not going to be around forever, and folk are dying young. You know, and so we've got to get past this area. You know, well, I done made an attempt. I was talking to someone the other day, and she is out with her sister. She says, I've been doing this now since December of 2016, and she just keeps rejecting me and everything. And she says, what am I supposed to do? I said, go back again. And she didn't want to hear that. I said, go back again. Go back again. Go back again. She says, but I said, go back again. I said, now you're communicating with me. and we haven't talked in 30 years.
Wow.
But you're able to talk with me after just reconnecting after 30 years, and you can't talk to your sister because it's been 2?
Wow.
We ain't even blood, and you can't talk to yourself. We will go and reestablish old relationships with strangers
Outside people.
and won't even work at the one for our own family. That disconnect, that dysfunction. And it is not, it is a competitive thing, and I'm gonna just drop these and then I'm going to open them up the next time we come together. It went on, Janice, in Genesis chapter 4, verse 1 through 8. Genesis 4, verse 1 through 8. You saw the competitive jealousy with Cain and Abel.
Yeah.
You saw it was in the house, Cain and Abel. You saw the very same thing going on in there. Please, Genesis 4, verse 1 through 8. Look at that.
Now Adam knew Eve his wife,
Yep.
and she conceived and bore Cain,
Yep.
and said, I have acquired a man from the Lord.
And we've opened this up many times. It says that Adam knew his wife. She conceived one time and bore Cain. We see that. Conceived, bore. Go ahead.
Then she bore again.
Wait a minute. She bore again. Does it say she conceived again?
She bore
It
again.
doesn't say she conceived again.
She bore again.
She bore again. So that means that based on how this is worded in the original language, in the Hebrew, that Cain and Abel were twins.
Right.
She conceived once,
then
bore
bore
twice. She conceived once. Adam knew her once. She conceived once. She bore twice. She has now twin boys, Cain and Abel, which is what makes this story so powerful, is that these were twins. They were looking at each other every time they looked at each other. So if they had a hatred for their brother, they hated themselves. A self-hatred. Remember, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, all your strength, and your neighbor as yourself. And your neighbor is anyone who is not you. You love your neighbor, you hate your neighbor, you help your neighbor, you do for your neighbor to the degree that you love, hate, help, and do for yourself. Please read on some more, daughter.
Then she bore again, this time his brother Abel.
His brother Abel. Come on.
Now Abel was a keeper of sheep, but
Yep.
Cain was a tiller of the ground.
Now they look alike, but they have different skill sets. Just because you are a twin doesn't mean you are a clone. You have different skill sets. One was a tiller of the ground, and one was a keeper of flock. Come on, please.
And in the process of time, it came to pass.
So that means over years, over years. We're now moving from the time of them being born to them stepping into their occupations to now, at where she is now.
It came to pass that Cain brought an offering of the fruit of the ground to the Lord.
So now, it comes to pass over time that Cain brings an offering of the fruit of the ground. There must have been some criteria of what is supposed to be offered to God for him to even bring an offering.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, they have established their relationship with God, and God has told them what they want, and he brings fruit, vegetables, a salad bar. Please read.
Abel also brought of the firstborn of his flock and of their fat.
He brings from his herd and the fat of his flock. One brings fruit and vegetables, the other one brings fat from the flock. Please.
And the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but he did not respect Cain and his
I
offering.
don't even have time to unpack this, but it says God respected Abel and his offering, which means that giving God money on offering doesn't mean that God has accepted you.
Yeah.
You have to make sure that God has acceptance of both you and of your offering. Abel had to have an acceptance as well as his offering, and Cain had to have acceptance and of his offering. God accepted one and his offering and did not accept the other and his offering. Go ahead.
He did not respect Cain and his offering, and Cain was very angry.
Now Cain is upset because what?
And his countenance fell.
His face turned into Reynolds wrap. It got all twisted out of shape. He got upset. Come on.
So the Lord said to Cain, why are you angry?
Why are you twisted? Why are you upset? Why are you mad? Now get ready to hear this, everybody. Come on.
And why has your countenance fallen?
Why are you going into depression? Why is your countenance falling?
If
What you're
you-
feeling is on your
right.
face.
If you do well,
Wait a minute. If you do what?
Well.
If you do well.
well, will you not be accepted?
Come on.
And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door.
Wait a minute. Read that again now. What
If you
the
do
Lord said to
well-
him, why are you angry and why is your countenance?
If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin lies at the door.
In other words, what was well? Obviously, if God accepted Abel's,
was not sin.
then doing well meant do what Abel did. Give what Abel gave. Now here God is dealing with something, and my time has gotten away from me. God is dealing with something that we don't want to look at. There was no communication. There was disassociation, because very easily Cain could have said, Abel, here's some of my fruit and my vegetables. Give me one of your calves so that I can make the same offering that God has required us to make. But instead of talking with his brother to exchange each other's gifting, he tried to make God accept his offering. And God says, that's not what I asked for. I'm trying to make you break this dysfunction that you have with your brother. Talk to your brother, trade with your brother, do business with your brother, operate with your brother, because you're not going to force me to accept what you're willing to give when I've already told you what I want. And there are people in the so-called church right now who don't want to abide by standards of what God says he wants. And we want to say, well, God ought to just be happy that I'm here. He ought to be happy that I'm doing what I'm doing. I could be such and such and such, yes, and you could be dead and in hell right now. But we are always trying to make God accept our standard instead of coming up to his standard. He says, I love a cheerful giver. My father in the Lord, E.A. Adeboye, the general overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God in Lagos, Nigeria. He says, if God says he wants a cheerful giver, then if you're not going to give your offering cheerfully, keep it. If you're not going to sing and dance when you're giving it, keep it. If you're not going to rejoice when you give it, keep it. God is not desperate. God has a standard. And maybe you're talking about, I done gave this, I done gave that. Yes, but what was your attitude when you gave it? You may have just given money to a ministry, but never gave an offering to God because your attitude was not right. My time is up. I'm out of time, but I'm not out of word. I am J.E. STURDIVANT, and what your name is?
Step the best.
And you is who?
I am Janice.
And we are Back to Basics Eyes of Faith Radio broadcast. Some people are on the air because they can afford to be on the air. Others are on the air because they like the way they sound on the air. But we're on the air because what? We got something to say. We got something to say. We got
something to say.
Thank you, WBGR. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Lionel
you,
Green.
YouTube.
Thank you so much, our
Share
YouTube
this,
family.
share this.
Please share this. We opened up some stuff, and I'm going to unpack it some more next week. We appreciate you. We love you. We out of here. God bless you. Thank you, Coy.
YouTube, we saw y'all comments. We saw
We
all
saw
the comments.
all of them. We saw
Please
it. Thank you so
share it.
much.
Yes.
Thank you, Talithia. We saw you.
Yes, we
Thank
saw
you
it.
so much.
Share this and then save
Please.
the date, Saturday, October 13th, because we're going to go more into
We're gonna
this
go
Family
into
Matters.
We're gonna open it up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna unpack it. I promise you I'm gonna unpack it. That's my turn now. Let me unpack this.
Right,
thing.
right. Bye, y'all. See y'all
unpack
later.
this.
3 o'clock. Tune in again.
Don't forget, that's right, 3 o'clock we'll be back on here.
With Pastor J.